Standing in the middle of a field, two friends are parting ways, wanting to meet each other again after becoming fine adults. The woman proposes they should get married, leaving him to ponder as the promise made that way was one-sidedly, although it was very important for him. Ever since he was a child, he was always spoiled by his mother and older sister. Then one day he received a letter of invitation to enroll in an academy called Bijima. Knowing himself fully well, he knew he couldn't grow up to be a fine adult if he continues to be spoiled. Thus the decision he made going to a school on an island isolated from the outside world. The entrance ceremony started sailing smoothly, thus starting his determination for the sake of becoming a fine adult. This school is originally made for bureaucrats, presidents, or national singers, numerous talented people emerging from this environment. The MC didn't ponder much as he only wants to keep his promise to the woman from his childhood. Karu is convinced of becoming a real man on the island. Although his other male peers finds the situation odd as they are a lot of too many cute girls. As school started, he is surrounded with beautiful women fully looking well grown up. He seems restless, managing to bump into a freshman, giving him a scare. The student warns him to keep a lookout. This gave Karu envy as he promises to one day catch up with everyone if he drinks milk every day. A woman suddenly emerges named Kanra-san. The students are happy to see her, happily singing with the children. Karu is suddenly met face to face with Kanra-san. Seeing their substantially different height, he feels small around her. She introduced herself on living in the islands for the meantime, asking if he should need help. She is welcome to hear his requests. Karu feels a bit shy considering she has to be in charge of explaining the island to him, resulting in taking too much of her time, especially when she has student council work. He apologizes, although she tries to assure him, exclaiming it's a privilege for her to cater to a young gentleman like him. He suddenly became frustrated being called as cute and not seen as a man. Kanra suddenly questions if he has time after school today. This resulted in her showing around the city today, being dragged around eating delicious food, finding her pleasing appearance and personality to be cute. As their days dragged on enjoying their date, Kanra finds a perfect spot with a beautiful view of the city. She felt relieved visiting the places found to be typical of date spots. Being glad and asking if he has anything in mind to visit next time, Karu suddenly noticed her shirt being wet, all of a sudden being flustered at the sight of it. Kanra called him to be a pervert, although she questions if he finds this to be sexy, finding his arousal to be quite pleasing as she finally revealed her demon self, revealing that the sexual desires of humans sustains demons like themselves. Karu still couldn't believe horns coming out of her and being a demon. She then insisted he grabbed onto her melons. Karu finds it pleasing as he finds happiness seeing them. She then revealed they couldn't leave the island once they arrived. She then turned Yandere all of a sudden, not letting her prey get away, scaring Karu away to dash away from her. Karu couldn't believe he was squeezing the marshmallows without a thought. He ponders if she's not human. He suddenly stumbled upon the guy he met this morning being shipped out, whispering about him already losing his V-card. This made Karu ponder what kind of stuff is going on in this island, let alone being shipped out due to it. He suddenly overheard the demon deciding to eat him tomorrow. He now finds himself anxious, seeing as if he gets caught he would also be eaten alive, not being able to fulfill his promise to his parents and also friend. With the flashback ending, he hurriedly ran towards his fellow male classmate, desperately saving him, questioning the sanity of the women in this island. Unbeknownst to him, the female demon went back and sneaked up on him, wanting to eat him instead due to his actions. But her actions was stopped by Kanra swiping her off the planet. With her terrifying knife skills and strength, she defeated a lower class demon, exclaiming that those who are not nobility is not permitted to touch her prey. She then calmly approached Karu to not leave her suddenly as he would get preyed on by other demons. Although she exclaims of eating him up, she questions his next whereabouts as he was planning to leave. Karu pointed out if he was heading to the police station. Although it's evident that most police officers, mayors, judges, teachers, and the people around here are all demons that originated from this island. Powerful individuals holding power are the ones who takes control. Pointing out they are demons, especially the girls working off island are promoting this island, pointing its pleasant miscalculation. They seemingly misunderstood as they came here to have a wonderful school life, but the students here invited were nothing but sacrifices for the demons. Karu, upon hearing this, teared up, desperate for a normal answer, although she explains all they need from them are kisses and a small amount of baby seed, asking him to give into pleasure and get eaten by her. Karu shouted for her to stop thinking about his friend from before leaving Kanna to be in shock. He states of promising someone to marry, not wanting to do anything related to intimacy. Although she pushed the idea that it's not like that but a meal for them, she assured her bite will be euphoric and he shouldn't panic. She bites down on him hard, giving him the unordinary lifetime experience. As she finishes her meal, Karu quivers due to releasing his seeds, marking his countdown as 9, seeing it go down being marked with the things often seen in doujinshi. She exclaims of taking her time and enjoying her meal to the fullest. This left Karu to question his safety, pondering what will happen when he gets shipped out. Kanna didn't give a straight answer and told him to seek the answers for himself once it happens. With her menacing and lovely eyes, she exclaims of looking forward to that day, scaring Karu as it's probably not a good thing for him. Kanna went as far questioning how does it feel to be eaten and did it feel good. Karu knows that he shouldn't be indulging in pleasure and getting involved with demons like this, especially if his count decreases to 0, it would mean the end for him. Kanna is determined to do more pleasant things. Karu is flustered but is determined to escape from the islands full of demons. Kanna seems pleased as she would get more fun things that will make Karu feel good. Karu is forced to abide by her requests. His response triggered her happiness, showing a pleasant smile and warm, peaceful approach, wanting to make it clear that he could do anything, particularly lewd things from now on. Karu is flustered, but is taken care of and moved away from the scene, making sure he doesn't get preyed on. In school, as class starts, everything seems normal and function as a normal school, even the students. Karu couldn't believe that earlier he was meddling in the student council's melons, indulging in what others might think of as fantasy. Still not believing the shocking events that unfolded, as he was also marked on his stomach, he suddenly gets surprised by her marshmallows on his head. Kanna did promise to take him out today, although she is busy asking for another day. Kanna didn't seem to show any unusual signs, being cheerful and all, giving Karu a sign that she might not be a demon after all, as there is no way he would had marshmallows yesterday. Although Kanna leans and whispered in his ears, asking to be eaten by her again, her words broke his suggestion of yesterday being a dream, as she would do anything she can to eat him up. Kanna bid farewell, leaving Karu to ponder if it was really alright to be involved with her even further. Although he feels that she is definitely a good person at heart. He suddenly noticed his classmate around him. It gives off the vibe that everyone around him must be a demon, and there are probably lots in this classroom. He approached a fellow classmate acting cutesy. He questions them if they know about the existence of demons on the islands, and if they have done unlawful things to them. One revealed being pampered and taking his blood from him. He also revealed the best part of it. It was a cute female demon that did it. Takefumi blurted out that she has the best marshmallows out of the island. But Kanzuya disagreed, as his was the best, especially with the leggings, calling out that her cake is simply divine. They seem angered by the different opinions they have, debating who's the better one to look at. The two fought, leaving Akira to be revealed, having the president make him release babies. Although they were ultimately stopped by Takefumi not to publicly talk about personal and private things. Karu didn't seem to mind, as he showed a cute and feminine face, revealing that he also was releasing children. This made the group peaceful, as they all agreed, as stuff like these happens a lot, especially in the island. Karu suddenly noticed Takefumi's neck, pondering as they all have the mark being labeled. He steered the conversation away. He complimented his neck being beautiful as she dashes off from the scene, leaving his other classmates to ponder if he has a neck fetish. As Karu was wandering around pondering about something, he suddenly gets silence, as the twin-tailed class president grabs hold of him, asking to not scream nor panic by her actions. Karu was suddenly dragged into a vacant room, being questioned by the long-legged class president. She ponders of knowing about Kanra more, and if he wishes to tell more she wouldn't do anything harsh. Karu felt chills. She thoroughly explained that demons eat energy produced by humans' desires. The more they eat, the more they grow. This was the norm usually, but unlike Kanra, she isn't like the rest of them, as she hasn't eaten anyone. But while explaining, she reveals her undergarments. Karu is questioning the situation, pondering what is happening. Although the class president questions the lack of sexual desires compared with Akira, he suddenly gets sad on his face. She interrogates him even more, asking what he truly desires as she pounds her cake onto his face over and over again. Although this made him a bit hard, the class president is still not satisfied, as she can have a decent meal with a pathetic libido like this. Pondering why did Kanra chose this human for her prey. She suddenly got up and decided to initiate irregular activities with her hole, leaving Karu to be scared for his life and plead for help as he doesn't want to die. Even though the class president is sold on having the irregular activities, Karu seems to deny her request, as he made a promise as she was about to indulge in Karu. Her actions was stopped by Kanra holding a knife climbing to the higher floor. She looks at the class president with hostility, towering over her as the class president questioned her work. Although Kanra doesn't seem to pay her questions any mind, passing by questioning if Karu is alright. The class president gets pissed immediately and threw a powerful punch aimed at Kanra-san, blowing her clothes off. As the building window gets vaporized, the class president exclaims that one should not ignore her. Karu is worried, dashing towards Kanra. Kanra, with her clothes half torn, hugs Karu, worried about his safety. Although the class president couldn't believe her eyes, as she took no damage from her attacks. The two seemingly get sweet and lovely, ultimately ignoring the class president. A mysterious woman suddenly appeared from behind, asking them to not abandon their student council work. Karu questions her identity, pondering if she's another demon. Kanra didn't seem to mind the woman behind her, ultimately focusing on revealing her giant dragons. Kanra is seemingly happy with how much Karu has the desire for her, leaving the big woman to pout behind them. Karu played along with her requests, but he complimented her for being hard-working, making her look even more cool. Thus she dashes off and to finish her work instantly. The big woman thanks him for a wonderful job, as it seems like Kanra is attached to him, although the class president debates that doesn't matter, as they will eventually be shipped out. The big woman warns her to not talk about shipping in front of the food. The two demons laughed menacingly, as to them humans are nothing more than food anyways. Karu gets told off to go back to his quarters as to not make Kanra be mad by snacking on her food. Karu didn't disobey and left the scene in a hurry. This left the big woman to give the class president a little advice, as she is not royalty, but a common person. She warns her not to interfere with Kanra-chan, as even nobles like her putting a stop towards Kanra would put her into trouble. As Karu was leaving, he gets questioned by the same group of men earlier, questioning if he had seen Katsuhisa, as it seems odd that he missed school due to sickness, but when they went to investigate, they just stumbled upon a female demon leaving his room. Upon asking her intentions, she revealed no one being assigned to the room, although they tried correcting her words. The demon just left without any explanation. As Karu tried remembering his face, he suddenly remembered it was the person yesterday being punished. The group headed towards the dense forest, talking about a demon taking him to somewhere else. They ponder if he got dragged out and forcibly forced into bondage play. Patch suddenly exclaims of doing number one as he tried unbuckling his belt. He screamed, pointing towards something. They stumbled upon Katsuhisa locked up in an underground room. They questioned what happened to him, being playful, but Katsuhisa showed signs of distress. He asked them to get off this island, but a sudden loud noise could be heard. Katsuhisa panics, as there is no time to explain. He revealed that this island isn't just a paradise filled with lots of beautiful girls. He warns them that no matter what, they must not let their countdown go to 0 or they will get shipped. and once it happened, it's all over. The loud slapping noises was a demon clapping her cake as loudly as she could. The demon questions them, asking an explanation from Banjo on why they are here. Banjo explained their friend went missing and searching for him. He pointed out Katsuhisa, but Yakashimura firmly exclaims with a serious and angered expression that there was no one here, as this area is also off limits to everyone. They all stood in fear, filled with anxious expression, although Yakashimura ultimately let this slide, asking to not come back here. But in a twist of events, she would never say that in a million years, as she would ship them all out. A loud clapping noise could be heard, giving the demon scout's interest. The scout quickly arrived, stumbling upon Yakashimura tying up the male food. The scouts gets questioned as they plead with apologies. She doesn't seem to mind their negligence, although they needed to make a report on the situation. She also decided on a punishment. But to their luck, she didn't give any, as they would have gotten in time to arrest the rest of them anyway. She insists they deal with the ship pig that has locked up the scouts. Suddenly turned dark-eyed, seeing him with hostility, but Karu immediately shouted. Questioning their intentions with Katsuhisa, Yakashimura asks him to stay quiet as the rest of the scouts put a knife on his neck, warning him to not talk to her like that, as the student council is the higher-ranking members rules this island, which includes Scanra-san. Banjo is suddenly sat down upon with her big cakes. As she expressed her distraught, expecting more towards him, she ultimately finishes him with a clap of her cheeks, calling it as a shame toward him. The scouts ponder if they could eat Shibana Karu, but upon hearing his name, Yakashimura suddenly questioned if he were really Karu. Upon knowing he was Kara's food, she freed all of them with a clap of her cheeks, asking them to leave. She revealed hating things that aren't fair. She also warns them to never go past the center line towards the left side of the island, asking to forget everything they heard or saw, or else she will ship them out herself. As the group ran like hell, they all felt fear and anxiousness, wondering about if Katsuhisa and the meaning of being shipped out. Karu already questioned this beforehand, but they didn't tell much other than, it may means of going missing. They ponder why would the demons be doing this, although they seem important to demons. Karu put it all together as to them they are nothing but cattle or livestock to the demons. The glasses guy panics, calling out for the police. Calling for the police would fix the issue, but he revealed everyone except the students on the islands are all to be demons. It means that this island is just a cage to hold humans that are ready to be eaten. This made the group ponder of getting away. The group stood still as it's clear they have to get off this island. But before this, Karu wants to save Katsuhisa. As they were about to figure out a plan, Patch intervenes, asking them to stop. He immediately peed himself, which they ultimately forgot he has to go. Karu after a while got back to his room, being surprised as Kanra-san is wearing nothing but an apron welcoming him back. This made Karu panics and be in fear as Kanra ponders if he wants a bath of her. The continuation will be uploaded soon. Thank you for watching. Karu couldn't still believe that Kanra isn't wearing an apron and he's witnessing what every man dreams of. Although he questioned her presence in his room, pondering what her intentions are, she looks at him with curiosity, suggesting that he must be tired. She insisted on eating dinner. Karu couldn't believe she had him dinner, trying to win his heart with delicious food. Kanra is confident in her cooking skills, feeding him with delicious food, happily enjoying the meals she made. She smiled happily, knowing his satisfaction towards the food, although in the end he questioned her, wondering why is she in his room. She turned around with a cold and dark gaze, exclaiming why she is asking something like that. She teases him if he hates him, although that doesn't to be the case at all. Although he questions his words, pondering why he is so quick to say I'm not hating her. Kanra showed her gratitude, being relieved, insisting she stayed for the night. She pointed out students aren't allowed to go out at night, leaving him no other choice but to accept her staying over. But Karu asks that she doesn't do anything weird. Shortly after, Karu took a bath. Although he finds this risky, he needs to find a chance to know what kind of weaknesses the demons might have. This great opportunity only comes once in a while, but his focus gets interrupted as Kanra extrudes his night by barging in without any covers. Karu looks in disbelief about the situation. Kanra doesn't seem to mind, although Karu is surprised by her bare skin seeing the marshmallows presented in front of him. After the bath, Kanra is happy as they sleep together peacefully holding him in her arms. Her horns suddenly grew out. Questioning why her horns grew out of nowhere, Karu ponders if this is a weakness of demons. Kanra explains it's a natural phenomenon when they get excited, pointing out that she is aroused right now. Her face looks delighted, full of love and obsessiveness, as she cuddles Karu that night, not wanting to let him get away from her arms. She exclaims of letting him do whatever he wants with her. She typically doesn't let anyone have the privilege to do so, but for him it's special, of course. Karu questions why is she keen to letting him have special permissions, which Kanra explains that ever since he came on the island she felt like she knew him all a long time ago. She also mentioned what kind of person did he promise to marry. With a stern and serious look on her face, Karu felt chills. This prompted him to say out his side of explanation towards that person, although he couldn't explain properly as the air felt heavy all of a sudden. Kanra felt scared as Kanra silently listened. Her mood changed immediately, knowing as he would eventually fall head over heels for her, throwing that promise away, as she is determined to make his body and heart of her own, helping him become a respectable adult. Karu finds Kanra to be big and attractive, but at the same time warm and kind. He finds her dangerous, that treats humans as food, seeing them scary. But at the same time he finds her fascinating, seeing her beautiful and majestic figure. He finds her being a demon to not only be sweet, having a mix into it, showcasing her personal kinds of charm. Karu with the Riz describes her being like honey cheese pizza. This made Karu to fell asleep. Kanra ponders how Karu tastes like when he's asleep. She ponders that he didn't find her home-cooked meal to not be weird. She wanted to taste him for a quick bite, questioning if she's opening herself too much to him. She then exclaims quietly that he hasn't changed at all ever since the old days, indicating that Kanra was the person whom he promised to marry. Tomorrow came and the group of classmates gathered together to discuss over their plans, although Karu is worried that he put himself in danger last night being with Kana-san. All he learned was the more excited demons get their horns also act the same way. With this crucial information, Takefumi started the meeting, questioning if anyone knows how to get off the island. Kanzuya answered, exclaiming that he has a certain plan to escape, confident in his answer as he acts arrogant. He first discussed of rescuing Katsuhisa, but their first priority should be to find a way. With the mainland being 120 kilometers away from the island, their means of transport would only be boat or helicopter. Helicopters being the easiest as its use for emergency, plus requiring a trained skilled pilot would mean the latter, as they would escape by boat. The ship that comes once a month won't be due until 3 more weeks. He then got a head count of their count, with most of them being at the high 8. The situation seems severe as it's unlikely their count will last for more than 3 more weeks, and without a doubt they are positive their counts will reach 0, and they will be shipped before then. With the sailing frequency being only once a month, and their vigilance against stowaways being strict. With the dire situation, Kanzuya has a secret plan coming into plays. He insists on finding a speedboat to escape. With this they are able to depart wherever, and it's the most viable option. Takefumi sees this plan as more normal, and he expected more from him. Although it's a realistic one, he became eager to use this plan on escaping. Although Karu exclaims of planning for a week, as such crucial escape plan need a specific date. With the plan in motion, they discussed the variables of dividing up the roles. Kanzuya took the role of figuring out how to use a boat and the route they should take. Kanzuya is in charge of finding a good location to depart from, Karu being the one to handle the necessary ingredients for food and equipments. This left Patch to be left out as he uttered the new issue of Weekly Shonen, giving Takefumi and Kanzuya a scare, becoming angry at the fact he is leisurely reading a book and not taking the situation seriously. Takefumi soon took action of finding a good route to escape and which boat to choose. As he was pondering about the plan, he managed to get hit with a big pair of marshmallows on the way. Being one side slap, he became surprised as the huge marshmallow demon is here. He gets question of being involved with Karu today, although he denies being with him today. He gets a warning for his sake that he shouldn't get too close to him, and if he ever gets involved even further, he never knows what Kanra-chan might do. Takefumi questions if it's the big marshmallow demon. pissing her off as hers are much large, which he couldn't agree more. Takefumi curiosity wonders with Kana-san if she's a very dangerous individual, although the big marshmallow woman denies her being a bad person. Although when it comes to her food or towards Karu she could get pretty dangerous, she warns Takefumi not to get involved with Kana-san. She tried rephrasing her words that they could mess with anyone but her, hinting towards herself. She questions his intentions of being near the border of the island, snugging him with marshmallows, questioning if he likes them. She ponders if he doesn't like them, to which he wholeheartedly disagrees, as no man would ever hate it, bringing all shapes and sizes, being amazing, even pointing out his dreams consisting marshmallows. He suddenly regained consciousness and apologized for talking much about the female part obsessively. He waited for a negative reaction only to be met with affection and understanding. He agreed on liking her marshmallows and would exterminate anyone who hates on her for that sole reason. She then exclaims if Takefumi is interested in seeing big ones in real life. This ultimately gave him aneurysm prison school style, squealing like a pig. She gave the option of seeing them but can't touch, or touching them but not being able to look at them. She thoroughly enjoys playing games like these. Takefumi thought of this hard, facing the greatest question that man has ever faced. She then put up a condition: if he is able to answer the question, she would let him do both. Takefumi is in disbelief, imagining the wonderful desire he has for it. She then interrogates him, questioning what he's hiding from her all along. She suggested that they might be thinking of trying to leave the island. This left Takefumi nervous, pondering how did she manage to know their secrets. He ponders of answering truthfully, although this might result in the end of their plans. He needs to avoid giving the answers somehow, although he needs to give the correct answers, resulting in him touching and holding marshmallows. His mind is troubled, not being able to decide. With 3 more seconds remaining of his time, he won't be able to get his prize. This resulted in Takefumi making up some kind of lie. But this won't do, as he won't be able to win the prize and would result being in trouble. He made up a flashback of enjoying time together with his mother, as they were the only ones left. She raised him all alone, which resulted in him doing whatever he could so that his mother doesn't have to worry about him. And truth be told, he wanted her to spoil him, resulting in his hidden desires to keep growing stronger every day. He held himself back as to not upset his mother. He thought the cravings would one day go away, forcing himself to endure until he became an adult, but in the end it never went away. His desire continues to grow. He can't even begin to tell how much he desires them. His excuse seemed to work, resulting her to be fond of him, loving that kind of personality towards him. She also questions him if he was kind of a masochist, wanting to play with him. Takefumi finds her as an angel, wanting to answer his desires. This resulted him being asked if he wants to see or touch. Takefumi couldn't believe that she is keeping her promise. He chose seeing the wonderful marshmallows, as one sense of sight leaves more of a memory than sense of touch. Although he would be glad to be given a chance to touch them in the future, wanting the pure joy of that moment to be beyond belief, he grew fond of him, dragging him to someplace else as it would be too embarrassing to do it in public. On the back of the room of the pier, Daruko-san showed her bare marshmallows. We transition back to Kanzuya in the library, as he ponders how did he end up in this situation. He denies the request of the student council's request. She exclaims, insisting on doing so as punishment for his trespassing into a no-entry area. Her request was all along slapping her cakes. As a way to atone for his sons, the group seemingly is one by one falling victims to the demons. Kanzuya couldn't believe that she expect to spank her. Although she is assured of the punishment, he ponders if it's the other way around. She explains that if it was the other way around it would result him enjoying it. She sees this befitting for a punishment. Kanzuya is left nervous, pondering her sanity. He eagerly explains that there is no way he would enjoy spanking someone, standing his ground to not abide by her request. He proved her point. She exclaims that he shouldn't underestimate her cake, asking to spank with all he's got. She exclaims, being ready, leaving Kanzuya with no choice. Although he remembered the horror of seeing someone get spanked in the cake, what feared him the most of himself was the deep down desire to slap someone's cake, being terrified and delighted at the same time. As soon as his hands landed on her cake, the student council felt a sudden contraction, leaving her to quench. She felt her body being electrified, exclaiming that she gave out a wonderful feeling. This made Kanzuya with fear, wanting to escape the island and resist the charms of these devils, but experiencing his deep desires firsthand, he no longer has the will to go forward. At the home center, Karu is packing up materials and necessities needed for their escape. But Karu ponders if he's missing something. He suddenly remembered the embarrassing memories with Kanra-san. Although she seemingly popped out of nowhere, startling him, he gets questions on what he's up to, subtly explaining window shopping. This gave Kanra-san the idea that he is free right now. She grabbed him and dashes as fast as she could with her godly speed and strength. She leaped through the sky, jumping as high as she could, scaring Karu. Upon arriving at the store, Karu realized the missing thing he was trying to remember, and it was Kanra-san. Their date went on as she became a trap even more, wearing gothic clothes, making Kanra fell in love even more. Karu acted angry, which she teases him for having a sword larger than his size. This ultimately left Karu to be enchanted and devoured easily as Kanra-chan embraced him wholeheartedly. The two could be heard as Karu finishes, leaving the other demons to look with interest. Karu is left with no choice, as they should be able to counteract their own demons. And if things go on like this, they would never escape meeting their fate. As Karu was being pampered by Kanra-san, he decided to question how powerful demons are. This made Kanra happy as she perceived he is trying to get to know her better. She exclaims of happiness, although this made Karu felt the underlying intentions hurt his heart. Kanra exclaims of have much more power than humans, and using the examples like the class president, she is way more powerful than that. She also revealed weighing more than the average human, with her weight being 129 kilograms and 197 centimeters tall. Demons' body structures are fundamentally different. Later the group gathered where Karu revealed the strength of demons being incomparable to humans. Banjo only revealed that his grip being only 200 kilograms. This left Patch to realize that all along he was sucked off by a saltwater crocodile without even knowing it. Banjo exclaims if a demon sees them escaping, they are all toast the moment they are found, as the demons could chase them in an instant. Thus this would ultimately result in them being forcefully drained one by one while preparing to escape. Before then they would reach 0 count and get shipped. They soon prioritize having a way to counter demons for their escape. Patch questions the escape plan if they needed to delay it. Banjo realized they couldn't, as their count went down by a lot, and knowing this they wouldn't last for a week. Patch gets angered by this, exclaiming that his didn't drop, although the other group members became silently angry at his words. His words finally struck them, but it's revealed his count is lower than them and is near being shipped out. He gets pinched twisted where Takefumi is angered as he has the nerve to talk about something like it, which he also failed to get some sense into his head. Karu lighten up the mood as they have better chances of escaping, as compared back then they had no counteract with the demons. And this time they are prepared. If they find a better countermeasure, they would also have enough time and way to escape the island other than in a tiny boat. He pointed out if they could convince the demons to use the ship they came on, it would be more realistic possibility to stow themselves away like that. Banjo couldn't agree more, as the demons' surveillance would be uptight. Seeing its possibility, this made everyone felt a bit better, knowing their chances to escape is not slim or none anymore. Karu showed the face of a cute femboy, striking their hearts out. With this they have to avoid demons and escape before their count reaches 0. With the first thing is they have to find a way to neutralize the demons, and they need to investigate ways to avoid being found out by the demons, which they targets are the demons who are in charge of each one of them. With this in mind, they are lucky enough to be close to them to find a way. With their plans being solidified, they call it a day, awaiting for their plans to set in motion. The next day arrives. Banjo is questioning if Karu has ever got his cake spanked before. With a dreadful and serious look on his face, Karu became startled, being nervous, answering he hasn't ever gotten one before. Takefumi noticed this, asking if he's doing alright, as all of a sudden he brought up a controversial questioning. Banjo apologizes, brushing it off as nothing, as he gets called out for acting weird like this, and saying nothing make it seems weirder. As they all disperse, Banjo is left to ponder his mistakes. Due to the reason he spanked the demon's cake earlier, all he could ever think about was the euphoric feelings. As he got back to his room, Jira-san is already awaiting at his front door. She revealed finishing her work early today, She then hinted going inside for some private matters and play something else. Banju thinks this is a good idea as a way to get rid of his dirty thoughts about spanking Cake. And a chance to get a look at her weakness points, but to his surprise she then whispered in his ears, making him go livid and crazy for her. Back at the classroom, Karu is nervous as the number of students in the class is slowly getting smaller to the point there are vacant seats. He became worried considering that if he doesn't get off the island he could be the next one to do so. He also then noticed something in the corner where Banju-san is seemingly in distraught and can't contain his composure. From a distance she also noticed the student councils gathering for what might look like a shopping spree later. As the other student council bugs Kanra-san, Karu approaches seeking for her. She eagerly awaited his words asking if she could go on a date. Hearing this shocked Kanra-san as she couldn't believe his words. Without a second thought she became obsessive on the idea and insists they should go head off now. Karu ponders it was embarrassing, but he asks her out like a man. Although he's worried. As whenever they contact their demons to find weak points, they have a high chance of getting eaten. But upon seeing he has the highest count he took the initiative of leading and finding out their weak points. As Kanra-san was about to head out for their date, she had the bright idea of having a lotion massage in a flow tie. Hearing this made Karu-san to be wary and nervous. But on the other hand Kanra-san doesn't seem bothered as she always wanted to try this out. She then pointed out that her fellow student council members have tried it, being grateful to Karu-san for asking her out. But then he had the bright idea of asking her to be the one to lay down. She got confused all of a sudden, but insists that he makes her feels good instead. Without a second she laid down with her giant melons being squished and her cake out. Asking to be gentle, he found this really nerve-wracking. Although nervous, he found this to be the perfect chance in exploring a demon's body. He also ponders of having the best skills in massaging, and they seem to be similar, but he then became confused as the lotion has made her all slipper, and he doesn't know where to touch. Even more, he doesn't know if his sanity will hold out doing this. He tried whispering in her ears, which she felt the sudden critical hit, being climax to her pleasures. She exclaims of never being touched by someone else except Karu-san and didn't know what to expect. She then exclaims that he could touch her all over her body, even in her special places inside and out. Giving in to her pleasures, he touched her all over, giving her a good rubbing, which he also grabbed her melons and massaged them carefully, executing the twisters and giving her the feeling of the lifetime. She then asks that her oysters be also massaged, spreading hers wide open, revealing the wonderful oysters. The big melon student council suddenly interrupted their moment, making Kanra-san to be enraged, but knew her duties very well and doesn't want to reject the call. In the student council room, she got reminded to not ever do something like this again. With the meeting officially starting, they all laid on their seats to discuss matters at hand. They discussed the magic power collection being at the rate of over 100%, exclaiming the drive for the men is surprisingly strong this time around. They seem to have collected the biggest arrow guys, claiming they found their perfect meals this term around, even making Kanra-san to pick hers. The president spoke up, questioning what kind of person she has taken in, which shocked everyone as this is unusual for the president to do so. Kanra-san casually denied telling her the details, which enraged the vice president, grabbing her by the melons. She pointed out her terrible attitude. But even so, Kanra-san would have said the same thing to anyone. The vice president then ripped her shirt out, making Kanra-san to make a joke about this. The president asked that they should calm down, leaving her with no other choice, as she announced they would reach their targeted amount of magical power after a few more arrivals. She then asks that everyone should get ready for the purge. With eyes shining in the dark, she exclaims that it's finally time to purify all the trash that is coming. After the meeting, the student council talks about her frustration towards Kanra-san, pointing out that she refused to answer from the president herself. She even as far questioning why is she in the student council in the first place. wanting to know whoever put her in the position and let her join in the first place. The president then calmly answered that she is the one who recommended that she join them, which upon hearing had her kneeling for forgiveness. Her interest then peaked towards Kanra-san's food. The vice president calls Karu-san as a her instead of a he. But then she corrected herself as it's actually a guy. She then claims of going out for herself in this term to search for food, shocking the vice president, although somewhat nervous as she already has some, but then decided to explain it later on as to why. She then also asked the vice president to pick on among the candidates herself. In school, the group gathered around, explaining that he used his hands to massage Kanra-san, but in the end he didn't found any weak spots. Patch then shivered, wondering if he touched her oysters, but Karu denies the accusation. Takefumi questioned if he touched her horns, which Karu revealed that their horns grow out for the same reason they get excited. Hearing this made them flabbergasted. They seem to found a pretty important clue as they are able to see the demons excited, which will also make them excited too in the process. As the Patch made a joke towards Karu. As they discuss further details about their plans of escaping, Takefumi rejects this idea as they realize they still have to further check on something else, as they decided to escape the night. Karu agrees as a boat in the sea at daytime would be visible from the coast during that time, but they have another problem as during the night in front of their dorm is a demon security guard with her oysters out. They also have a roadblock of surveillance cameras surrounding the dorms pointing near the walls. They have hurdles of things before they escape the island from their dorms. They firsthand has to escape the dorms, which Takefumi suggests checking in advance what the island looks like at night. Karu understood this and insists he doing his plans already as he needs to check the situation at night first before doing anything. Hearing this, Takefumi is surprised that he already thought of a way, which he would try out tonight. Patch asks if he is sure as they have a curfew that forbids them going out at night, which will result in them being shipped. Even so, Karu points out that he has no choice and have to take the risk. Karu explains the plan is pretty simple as they don't actually need to get out at all, as they would just be outside from the beginning. That night Karu hid until dark watching from afar of the guard's stall. Takefumi on the other hand ponders that he doesn't really pay any attention to what goes on outside of his room at night. Upon peeking out he heard footsteps as a demon girl is on patrol. As he peeked outside he gets questioned on the peek hole wondering what he's up to. Seeing this he fell back in fear, wondering how the heck did she knew he was on the other side of the door. This pointed to a conclusion that she somehow can tell if there are people in their rooms or not, which later on she managed to confirm this upon touching the door of Karu-san, which upon feeling no presence she alerted on the radio, sounding the alarms. As the target was confirmed to be Kanra-san's food, the student council claims that she would strangle him upon finding his whereabouts. Outside, Karu-san is pondering how they managed to find out he wasn't inside his dorm room. As it seems they are quick to catch on. As the guards patrolled they seemed to almost caught him. Upon checking so he managed to evade their surveillance, as he managed to hide in a box just in case. He then seemed to observe the situation around him where they won't be able to spot him. As the guards gather, the head guard questioned if any one of them has any detection skills. As they all have useless skill, she then asks they send out a dispatch request for anyone who can detect over a wide area. Her words got interrupted as the student council. She questioned the guards on duty the situation. She bowed her head explaining the search is currently ongoing, but they have trouble towards finding someone who can perform area-wide detection. Hearing this made her slap her with her cake, as the loud bang echoed. She then exclaims telling them earlier to make sure on having someone with detection skills on shift. The guard on duty apologized as due to shift schedule she had no other choice and won't repeat the same mistake anymore. The student council then took the initiative of tracking Karu-san this time. Karu on the other hand wonders about the situation as she slaps her cake. A sudden echolocation rang out towards a wide mile radius as she opened her eyes. She then glances at Karu-san, giving him fear and a shudder of nervousness. Karu finally understood this, as previously she used the same technique to find them, as the sound of her cake works like some kind of dolphin echolocation, and the accuracy rate gave her to find him in a wooden crate. The student council captured Karu, exclaiming that going out at night is forbidden, and pointed out he doesn't have a second chance anymore, having him to be finally shipped out. Karu ponders that he was too naive and didn't anticipate that the student council would show up and capture him. All he could ever think about is if this was the end for him. They were suddenly interrupted as a voice could be heard from a distance questioning her actions. It's then seen as Kara-san is wielding a knife whilst approaching. They both stood still gazing upon another. The other council members also arrived shortly with her nightgown blasting her melons. Questioning the escapee, it's then revealed that Karu-san has violated the rules twice, thus resulting in shipment. Hearing this made Kana-san enraged, pondering why would she even ship him according to her own decision when she isn't even in charge of him. She pointed out if it's like that way, then she also demands shipping the other humans that he hung around with that instigated him to do this, exclaiming she will personally punish them. The other student council member weeps hearing this. With no other choice, she threw Karu-san, even though she's willing to let this go. This doesn't change the fact that he broke the rules again, asking her to punish him this time. Not only that, but to also discipline him properly. Kanra-san hugged him tightly. Even though he's saved, Kanra-san is irritated but also pouts at him for his actions. Later in the torture room, she explains being hurt that she is forced to do this towards Karu. With no other choice, she decided to begin, questioning why did he tried escaping and who instigated him breaking the rules. With confidence he revealed having no one else involved. Kanra-san is wary, wondering why make such strong denial, questioning if he's trying to protect someone. Upon doing this, she put her cake against his, rubbing it against one another. As the interrogation goes on, he revealed being scared of being shipped and they would become slaves or get killed even. Hearing this made Kanra-san to stop. She then pointed out this is all her fault as he made Karu overly worried when one gets shipped. With dreadful and euphoric eyes, she would now properly revealed what would happen when one gets shipped.